This is Dr. Sarah Scher's article on the city of Cusco in Smart History and Khan Academy. At the breathtaking elevation of 11,200 feet, the city of Cusco was not just the capital of Tawantinsuyu, land of the Four Quarters, the Inca name for their empire in their native language Quechua. It was an axis mundi, the center of existence, and a reflection of Inca power. The city was divided into two sections, Hanan, upper or high, and Hurin, lower, which paralleled the social organization of Inca society into upper and lower moieties or social division. Cusco was further divided into quarters that reflected the four divisions of the empire, and people from those sections inhabited their respective quarters of the city. In this way, the city was a map in miniature of the entire Inca Empire, and a way for the Inca rulers to explicitly display their power to shape and order that empire. Some scholars think that the city was deliberately laid out so that it was shaped like a puma, symbol of Inca might, but this is still under debate. The masonry of Cusco displays an understanding of stones as being like people, in that many different ones may fit together if they are properly organized. Each individual stone was pecked with tools and fitted to the one next to it, with the result that blocks will have a varied number of sides, such as the famous 12-sided stone in the walls of Hatun Rumiyak Street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Some sides of each stone were made to curve slightly outward, others to be slightly concave, so that the stones slotted together while still allowing a small amount of movement. The ability to move a little was important in an area that is seismically active, protecting the walls from earthquakes. The city hummed with activity, both secular and religious. Not only the Inca rulers and their nobles resided in Cusco, local leaders from all sections of the empire also lived in Cusco, often compelled to do so as a means of controlling their home populations. Girls and young women were drawn from across the empire to the capital to serve as cloistered aklas, or chosen women, to weave fine cloth for gods and nobles, and to make corn beer, chicha, for religious rituals, to serve gods in shrines, and in some cases to be given to Inca favorites in marriage. Young men were also brought to Cusco to be educated and raised in the Inca culture. When they returned to their homes, they would be valuable advocates for Inca traditions and power. In addition to the Inca gods and ancestor mummies kept in the capital, there were also the captured gods of subject peoples, brought there as another means of controlling their followers. At the heart of Hurin, Cusco, was the Qorikancha Golden House, the most sacred shrine of the Inca, dedicated to the worship of the sun. While the Inca had many gods, they claimed descent from the sun, whom they called Inti, and held the sun's worship above all others. The Qorikancha was the center point of the empire, and from it radiated imaginary lines called Saqas, which connected it to shrines throughout the Cusco Valley. Rebecca Stone refers to the Saqas as a landscape calendar and cosmogram, as the shrines were also a marker of time, with different noble families tending to and holding rituals at the shrines around the Saqay system throughout the year. After the conquest, the Qorikancha was one of many Inca shrines turned into a Christian holy space. The monastery and church of Santo Domingo were built around and on top of the original shrine, incorporating the old structure into the new one in a way that makes for a strange appearance today. Parts of the old temple are still visible inside and out, alternating with Spanish Baroque architectural features. The Qorikancha itself was renovated by the first emperor, Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, after he had a mystical revelation that declared him a divine king. All the doors, windows, and wall niches of the Qorikancha were the distinctive Inca trapezoid shape, like what we see right here, with doorways double jammed, an outer jamb and an inner jamb, to signify the importance of the building. The exceptionally fine masonry of the Qorikancha was reserved for the most important buildings, since it was even more time-consuming than regular Inca stonework. Rather than fitting each stone together as an individual shape, creating an irregular-looking surface, here they were shaped into even courses of rectangular blocks and polished to a smooth finish. The walls were then covered in sheets of gold to signify the shrine's dedication to Inti, and would have reflected the sun's rays with a blinding brilliance. But the spectacular, radiant exterior was not the apex of the building's wonders. Inside, a reproduction of the world in miniature took the shape of a garden made from gold, silver, and jewels, with people, animals, and plants. The riches of the Qorikancha would be taken in the looting of the city following the Spanish conquest in 1532 and melted down for their precious materials. Saqsa Waman looks down on the city of Cusco from the northwest. The structure, with its zigzagging walls, is described as a fortress, although there are still many questions as to how it functioned in that capacity, and the purpose of some of its features is debated. It is possible that it was never finished, or that parts of it were left incomplete at the time of conquest, as Jean-Pierre Pronzon has proposed. The stones used to construct it were much larger than those used in the streets and houses of Cusco, as can be seen in this photo at left. The stones were quarried and hauled into place using considerable manpower obtained through the mita, or labor tax, that all able-bodied people of the empire owed the Inca.